about business, money, relationships, family, or anything. Let's talk. Join Alan Cousin of Get Up Radio Media as he talks about anything and everything that the mind can come up with. His motto is, you can't find a solution until you talk about it first. Ready to be informed about life and feel positive daily? Then come listen to Let's Talk with Alan Cousin and get up as a positive new you.
Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday out there. Thank you. Hope you're enjoying your day, by the way. I know I am, basically. It's a beautiful 59 degrees. Well, actually 61 degrees here in Dallas, Texas. And I had a pretty good day, I must say. A couple of things didn't get done, but for the most part, got business taken care of. So here I am, Alan Cousin, founder of Get Up Radio and Get Up Radio Media, doing my first Let's Talk on YouTube. I've been informed by my advisors that I need to be more personable, so to speak. So I'm going to see how about doing that and see if it actually helps with the reaction of my viewers, as a lot of them say I'm very informative with making sure Get Up Radio gives them information and, of course, nice music to listen to, but they want to hear more about the owner and about the crew and staff and, what we basically, believe in, and I guess share our opinions on certain things. So here I am. So my opinion today, my show today, Let's Talk, which basically Let's Talk is always broadcast every Tuesday and Thursday, and I will try my best to do that here on YouTube, since I do it on Spotify as well as iTunes and other places. And we basically talk about various topics and that we feel are important for viewers like you to hear about. And sometimes we'll give you facts, sometimes we'll give you our opinion. It just depends on the situation, I guess, or the demeanor of the topic that we're talking about, and sensitivity and importance. So like today, my topic today, and I will say I have to talk to my staff about the whole using this wiring here, because I'm so used to not being on film, so I'm not used to having where I have to now have a wire projection taken out of the situation, so to speak. So anyway, with that being said, our conversation today is going to be about the shootings that's been basically happening around the United States. Now, granted, of course, shootings occur constantly around the world. We know this. But the United States, unfortunately, seems to be the number one country with the most shootings occurring every year. That's not something you want to be number one for. Now, of course, many people continue to ask the question, why? Because a lot of these shootings tend to occur where before it was basically, city shootings or gang violence, but now it's actually getting to the point where it's more and more school shootings. And that affects not only the world, but it affects the parents, it affects life itself, because it's our future generation. It's our kids that basically will become one day adults to then make decisions for our country. But these kids are now getting to the point where sometimes they may not know whether or not they may have a life, because their life is being taken short at ages 6, 10, 12 by people who feel the need to kill people. It's very upsetting, honestly. Who would have thought that in the 21st century we would have schools, not colleges, not inner city crimes, but schools, elementary schools, with pre-K, with first graders, second graders, having to worry about going to school and being murdered. I mean, when I was a kid in pre-K, first K, first grade, second grade, I had to think about what toys I wanted to bring, what lunch I got, or what lunch I was going to trade with my friends. Like, hey, I give you my peanut butter for your, Nestle Twix, or hey, I give you my apples for your pear, kind of thing. I didn't have to think about whether or not I was going to get home the next day or get home that same day. That was the least thing I had to worry about, was going to school and hoping to go back home. But unfortunately, it has come to that point now where we have kids who are afraid of going to school. We have parents now who are starting to do homeschooling if possible because they're afraid that their kids may not make it back home if they send them to a public school or an elementary school, private school, whatever. These shooters are not basically saying, I'm going to just do all public schools. These shooters are not picking specific schools to shoot, they're just taking schools. And we are trying our best to understand the fundamentals as to why these shootings are occurring. And in all honesty, we're not getting many answers. In all honesty, some of these shooters will shoot themselves before giving us the opportunity to find out the answer. Now, one common ground that we've seen in all of these shootings, unfortunately, is that most of the shootings, if not all, basically had the shooter using an AR-15. Now, why an AR-15, you ask? Well, AR-15s are very good guns to utilize. They're basically semi-automatic. They tend not to jam as far as the bullets. They're easy to handle, very light, and easy to basically carry in. So, what does this tell you? Well, I don't know about you, but what it's telling me is that an AR-15 might be a gun that we may need to solve a problem of rectifying these shootings by taking away an AR-15 and making them basically illegal to carry. Now, yes, I do understand there are many of you out there that look at the situation of saying, I have rights. I have the right to bear arms. And I get that. Yes, there is an amendment out there. But you do understand and do realize that amendment was created back in the times when you needed to bear arms. You know, you had farms that you had to protect, your family you had to protect. You didn't have police that you can contact through 911. You didn't have a law enforcement situation where something went wrong. You just had to pick up the phone. No, you had maybe a sheriff for the whole county. So I understand you had a need for a gun. You had a need to bear arms. But today is the 21st century. We have police officers out there. We have ability to contact someone in case of an emergency. So why is there such a need to bear arms? And the thing that really perturbs or really, I guess, upsets me to a point is that we have people getting guns, and they're getting these guns in less than a day. Shouldn't a situation where at least you give a 10-day reference to hopefully do a background check and proper checks to make sure that this individual who's buying a gun should have the authority to carry a gun? I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have one. It's your right. If you want to, that's fine. But for those out there who are heavily on medication, have mental issues or mental problems, for those who may be maybe a drunk or alcoholic or had a past criminal record, don't you think these individuals should be checked before being validated with having the option of a armed pistol or armed rifle, or even more so a AR-15, that they can then at a whim's decide, I'm upset, I don't like life, I'm going to go ahead and kill people because it's going to make me feel better, or I'm going to take my life, but I want to take others with me. I don't think we want that type of situation in today's society. I don't think we need that type of situation in today's society. But it's gotten to the point that as a media broadcast producer and owner, I now see reels of film or transcripts of articles where I have now seen active shooters, and more so school shootings, But the problem is, I've seen it to the point where now I don't even have an emotional background or reaction towards it. I don't even go, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. Because it's been happening so often that, in all honesty, it's becoming a norm. And that's not good when you start to have school shootings become a normal in our livelihood. Do you not want your kids to become adults? Do you not want to have a safe environment where people can go to school to do what basically they need to do, which is learn, where they can actually articulate themselves, have the ability of reacting with others and become friends with other students, and possibly become a child who enjoys life and going to school and having the activities that, occur after school, to the point where they actually get a little physical so that they can, stay lean, sharp, or maybe join band, soccer, football, basketball. But main thing is enjoy themselves and enjoy themselves with others. Because likely that's not going to happen if we keep having people with AR-15s coming to playgrounds and schools and just basically killing people. I mean, how many parents out there are not afraid of bringing their child to a school now, especially a school that you probably even pay for? How does it feel to know that you're paying for education for your child, but at the same time, you have to worry about if your child's going to come home alive? I mean, yes, we have spoken to Congress and Senate and others. And yes, the government says that they're looking into it. And I'm sure they are. But they have a lot of things that they have to look into. They have a lot of priorities that's in their checklist system that may not make this their main priority. And clearly, the local government is not doing anything about it as well, nor is the state government, because it's all about the situation of bearing the rights of carrying arms to have a gun. It's like, if we take away this right, we're taking away the ability to breathe or the ability to drink. But are we really? I mean, think about it. Humanity. Have you ever thought about that word? Humanity. The ability of being a human progressively within the environment of others, in which you share your thoughts as well as your actions in a community that grows together, shines together, and improves together while improving yourself and others. Are we really doing that? Are we showing the guidelines and definition of what humanity should be? Or are we just looking at the selfishness of what we want and how we feel life should be, whether others believe in that or not? Because it's not about what they think, it's about what I think and only what I want only. It makes me feel like the situation of these school shootings are more so that of childish effects. That adults are not looking into the situation, but basically adults who are adults by age, but really mentally are just children. I want, it's mine, I should have. That's what it sounds like to me. And in hearing that, and hearing those words and that type of verbiage, what comes to mind but that of a child? And that's why it's very fearful and scary for me, because it's like, why are we going through such a progression of having this situation get worse and worse instead of better, where improvements could be made if we just work together as a society to make those improvements and commit to them? So far, I've been very lucky that not any of my nephews or nieces or cousins have been shot. Now, that's not saying that it won't change because I've come from New Orleans. And in New Orleans, we were known as the number one murder capital of the world for many, many years. It was not something I was proud of. To know that every time I walked out in the city, I had to actually watch myself because who knew when someone would just come out with a gun and shoot you or rob you? And I have been approached many times, unfortunately, in my teen years and adult years, where basically I was approached by someone who held a gun in my face, saying that they wanted my shoes or my wallet or my jacket or everything I had on me just because they could, because it would look better on them than me. And surprisingly, I'm still here. Surprisingly, I got through those events without being shot or dying. But it doesn't mean that I don't remember the memories of those events. I don't recall what I felt or how I felt in those events. And though I was highly trained to handle dangerous events, as I've basically dealt with FEMA, Delta Airlines as a customer care unit, and other organizations, which now has trained me to know how to handle negative responses or negative events and actions by others. It doesn't mean that it makes it any easier for me when I look on the television or read the articles on my newsreel that pops up every morning around 4 in the morning and see children who have been shot, children who didn't have a chance to have a future, children who will no longer understand the capabilities of dreaming, wanting, or just enjoying life at such a young age. Children who will never become an adult, who will never have the ability of having a long living life. We need to do something about this, ladies and gentlemen. We need to find a way to improve this. And we need to start to unite together because it only seems as if we must have the majority rule in order to make the majority changes in life. And currently at the time, it appears that the majority does not care about the situation of active shooting and children being shot that are under the age of 12. It appears that the majority cares about having a gun and the rights to own and bear arms. And it seems the majority doesn't feel like mental health is an important issue, as majority of people who have shot children later were discovered to have mental health problems. Like I said, I'm not going to go with the statistics. I'm not going to tell you how many died each year or how many died at each school, because really, does it really matter on how many? Because honestly, it should not even be one. Because if one died, that's one too many. And that's why I'm here talking about it. Because I hope that maybe, just maybe, you're listening and you may vocalize the same opinion as I am and tell others. And sooner or later, we will all vocalize together our opinion and not make the opinion just an opinion anymore, but make it a fact. And then utilize those facts towards these problems in which together we will all come up with a proper solution. Communication is key in everything, which is the reason why I created my show, Let's Talk. Because honestly, you can't come up with a solution unless you first talk about the problem. And communication is something that everyone can do if chosen and allowed. It's just a matter of finding the right form of communication to be able to get in depth with whatever topic you're talking about, and then discovering what the problem is, and then together coming up with a fundamental solution to get rid of the problem. It's 2023. Since 2017, we've had an increase of school shootings. And this increase is now getting to the point where it's not increasingly going every 3 months, every 6 months, every 9 months, every year. No, it's going every couple of weeks to every month. We shouldn't have school shootings every couple of weeks or every month. We shouldn't have to even worry about it. And then the guidelines of finding a proper solution still hasn't been resolved. Whether having security at schools, they were talking about having the teachers with guns, which I personally didn't think would be the best solution as well, because they're there to teach and educate, not to protect the students with guns. Security is there to protect the schools with guns. But then, of course, if you have security, you have to spend more money. So clearly, money is more important than the livelihood of children and adults, right? Because it's more important for the school to keep their budget than to utilize it to actually protect those that's actually attending it. At least that's what I'm seeing. Because anytime money is the situation to actually solve the problem, something occurs where they're informed that the money is not lucrative or allocated enough to be able to be given at this proper time so that we can have a proper solution to this horrific problem. But yet, I'm sure if you wanted to use money to take a trip or money to go have fun or money to do something you've always wanted to do, then we as humans would find a way to get that money because we would want to do that in order to fulfill our goal of getting what we want, right? So maybe we should all have a goal of making these shootings go away. Maybe we should make that something we want, where we have peace and unity once again in our schools, where our children, our nieces, nephews, cousins, friends, and so forth can actually go to school and enjoy being a child and live as a child and know that they will be a child that can go there daily without hoping and praying to come home. I don't know about you, but it's very upsetting that I'm actually doing this show based on this particular subject. And I don't expect to have many people voice or even watch or view this first episode, of course. But I will continue to do more shows like this because I want the word to get out so that we as humans start to utilize a majority of education intelligence in solving the problem of violence that has become a daily effect in our world, in our country, in our cities, in our lives. We need to do something because if we don't, it's not going to get better. If you turn your head away, it's not going to go away. It's only going to get worse. And someone has to come up and finally say, this is a problem. We need to find a solution. Instead of pointing fingers towards, well, he didn't do this or she didn't do that, or I would have done it, but I couldn't because. Let's just look at each other and say, look, here's the deal. Here's the problem. Let's come up with a solution, shall we? So that our kids, our cousins, our nieces, our nephews, our friends actually get the opportunity of living hopefully 20 to 30 to 40, 50, maybe 60 years instead of having a short-lived life of 8 years, 10 years, 12 years, or even 6. Are you listening, America? Are you listening and understanding? Are you seeing that this problem is not going away? It is only getting worse. If you don't believe me, just Google school shootings space AR-15. Because unfortunately, as I've stated, AR-15s are basically the number one killer in these school shootings. And healthcare. We could have had a perfect healthcare system similar to that of Canada, but as always, it's been shot down because of pharmaceuticals saying that, quote unquote, it will not be beneficial for them if we have this new healthcare system. It would not be beneficial for hospitals and doctor offices because they say that basically that people would have longer lines. But I'm not sure about you, but currently I have very good health care. And guess what? I still have to call to get a scheduled appointment, and I can't go to the doctor the same day. So guess what? If you give me a healthcare system where you say I'm going to have to wait anyway to go to the doctor, I don't think it's going to change what's going on right now currently because I can't go to the doctor the same day anyway today without this new healthcare system being in place. So clearly, it won't make a difference if we go ahead and get a new healthcare system so that everyone can be able to get the medicine that they desperately need, to get the psychiatric help that they desperately should be offered, and to basically be able to stay healthy to the point of not thinking incorrectly or mentally being disoriented or feeling lonely or neglected or introverted to the point where they feel like they have to use negative actions to reinforce their state of living. All I'm saying is the solution is there. We do have solutions. The only problem is that the people who are in charge of making these solutions refuse to do so because it's going to cost money to make this occur. And they feel like the money should not prioritize towards this proper solution for this particular problem. They feel that the money should be utilized for other things that are probably not the greatest problem in America, but clearly are wants and needs and desires that they feel need to be obligatedly given. So I don't know what to say about the United States of America, but I can clearly say one thing. We should not be called the United States of America. Let's think about it. United States of America. When in history has we or have we been united? I mean, if you're going to name yourself the United States of America, don't you think you should actually be united towards all goals, all structures, activities, and formulating solutions to problems that we have within the United States, within our country? We are so dissocialized, and basically, we are not even living in a real world. Most people don't even integrate or intermingle or interact with each other anymore. It's simply a computer or a phone that's in their mind and their eye set. They don't know what it is to interact with others, to converse, to actually have a decent conversation. Most people nowadays don't even know how to speak if you approach them. Fear is seen automatically on their eyes when you go and say, "Hi, let's talk," because they've never had a conversation. Because all they do is focus on their iPad or their iPhone or their computer or their Samsung Android or their virtual reality machine. What is this saying about the citizens of America? What is this saying about the people of our current world and society? Because think about it, AI is coming and AI is changing things already. And it's coming swiftly, making swift changes. 5 years from now will be a totally different environment horizon. 10 years from now will be a totally different world based on what AI will bring to forth towards the human society. So I'm just saying, we need to think about ourselves because soon, and probably sooner than later, AI is going to start formulating solutions for us. And these solutions that AI will come about will probably be solutions that we won't be actually in agreement with. And let's think about the day that maybe AI will look upon us and say that we as humans are no longer quote unquote accepted or quote unquote needed because we bring nothing to life. We bring nothing to the society and innovation of improving life in any way. What do you think AI is going to want to do with us once they think that we're no longer needed or have no quote unquote reason to be around because we don't do anything to improve or resolve problems in today's society? I don't want to see or hear the reaction of what AI would do. And I don't want us to ever get to that point. So I'm going to leave by simply saying this. I used to be in the projects in New Orleans. I used to see things as a child that no child should ever see. And now I'm here as an adult, living a much prosperous life, a more elegant version of life. But I still think about those out there who are living in the projects, those out there who actually live in nice homes, but are still dealing with the negative effects that I dealt with in the projects because guns are now being brought towards all neighborhoods, no matter how much you make, no matter what race you are, no matter what representation you vote for. Guns are still coming towards your neighborhood. Guns are still coming towards you. Guns are still coming towards your children. What does that say about America? A bullet knows no color. A bullet knows no gender. A bullet knows no age. All a bullet knows is that when it's shot, it's committed to take away life. Think about that. Thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed this, then great. And if you didn't, no problem. It's your opinion. We always have an opinion, right? But if you want to join me here, do so on Tuesdays and Thursdays, as I will talk about various situations, various problems, and I will give my opinions and sometimes facts on how we can better educate each other or better our society, hopefully. Because as I said, you can't come up with a proper solution unless you first come and talk about the problem first. I've talked about the problem. You've heard the problem. And I'm sure you've talked about it yourselves. Don't you think it's time we all come up with a possible solution so we can finally end this problem? I hope the answer is yes. Well, thank you for listening. And as always, get up with life, music at the world at getupradio.com, as well as listening to our app, radio app, on Google Play. And of course, feel free to come back and listen to Let's Talk. And let's see what we can talk about next time and what problems we can actually come up with and hopefully find proper solutions to end those problems. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Thank you for listening to Let's Talk with your host, Alan Cousin. If you have any questions that need answers or wish to be on the show, feel free to email us at letstalk@getupradio.com. you have a moment to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcast, we'd really appreciate it. Remember to get up, smile, and live life positively, as you are an amazing person.